Alright, hello and welcome back to ESA Winter 2021. We're raising money for Alzheimer Fonden and links to donate can be found below. Thanks to Koei Tecmo Europe's Neo 2 The Complete Edition, Twitch, and ViewSonic for sponsoring us this event. But now it's time for Conception's run of Grim Fandango Remastered. Take it away.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Grim Fandango, the remastered version. It's a 90s game originally for the PC, but we got a nice remaster in 2015. My name's Conception 2, and I do have an excellent commentator with me if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Woadyb.
All right, excellent. And we can explain all about the plot and everything as we're going along here. So we're actually just going to get started on the timer here. So we will start time in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and we're off to the races already. We just grab this deck of cards and leave our office. And first piece of speed tech that we do here is kind of a little item glide. So the game does not intend for you to access any part of your inventory while you're moving. However, if you use the numpads on a keyboard in order to access your inventory as opposed to cycling through it individually, you can enable Manny to run and access items at the same time. So that's a main piece of speed tech that we're going to be using entirely through the run, probably hundreds of times if I had to guess.
Yeah, and Conception, you were telling me this piece of tech is actually only available on the PC version.
Yes, that is correct. And that is because, like I mentioned, we have to use the number keys to access the inventory. Other versions, the console versions and everything like that, you have to go through your inventory manually to get anything. So you're not, that's very exclusive. That is specifically why we run on the PC version. It's absolutely the fastest. There's a wide number of cutscenes we can skip. All of these little animation skips and inventory management things that we can do are exclusive to the PC, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you were telling me we also turn off the voice-acted dialogue because that will help with time skip as well.
Yes, that is correct. So how that works, basically, what happens is that if we had any voice lines on for unskippable voice lines, as in, text we can't just straight mash through in a cutscene, we would have to wait till the voice line is over for it to complete. However, if we turn voice lines off, all we have to do is have the text flash on the screen for a short amount of time, and then it will move on its own. So there are a number of unskippable little cutscenes or sequences that we saved a lot of time by just turning off those voice lines. All right, and you can see here we're at a Day of the Dead festival here. We're going to be getting a number of balloons. One regular balloon, and the other one what they call dead worms, which are basically just deflated balloons. But they will be more useful later. We're grabbing them in advance while we can. And also, we'll grab a piece of bread, because why not? And here's an excellent showcase of that glide ability that I talked about there. We're putting away the bread as we cycle through. That way, we don't have to have the animation here when we're getting ready to climb up the rope of the bread being put away. And we don't waste time doing it because it's while we're walking. So, all right, we're going to pick up the rope here. This just preempts something a little bit down the line as well in terms of a puzzle solve. Throw it out on the ground, and then we're going to enter here. Then we're going to use this very fancy high-tech computer.
Yep, we're going to take an opportunity to change a message from our boss here to help us get through one of the puzzles.
Yeah, because the secret to capitalism, as it works out, is to have automated voice lines that bark out orders so that you don't actually have to be there to give any orders. So basically what we had to do is, in order to get the order that we need, is we have to change the voice line so that his secretary will sign a very important form for us, as opposed to having to get his signature specifically. So that's the puzzle solve there.
I can actually hear the voice line in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we do turn off voice lines, but it does give us a chance to showcase this excellent soundtrack throughout the run as well. So that's great. So this is a body bag, and that was our scythe, which is collapsible. which is very, very cool. Like a very cool idea. And a vast majority of the time, we're actually able to skip the animation of us opening and unfolding our scythe, unless it's scripted into a cutscene. Then we can't do anything about it. Like as we put it away there, it was scripted into a cutscene, so I can't do anything about it. But I was able to skip the animation of it opening up, which we'll be doing quite a bit through this run. This is the head tech demon, I want to say. If Glottis is a demon, I gotta imagine that this thing is a demon as well.
Yeah, probably like a maintenance demon, like Glottis is a mechanic demon. Or a race demon, forgot how to explain it.
I like to call him a speed demon. Because he loves to go fast. I also like to call myself a speed demon. But that's just because I like to go fast? Yeah, because I like to go fast in games. So that was us getting to utilize the empty balloons. We're actually filling those with a packing material that goes in coffins, but we're going to be using them for a different purpose, which is to completely clog up the mail chute coming up here. And we're actually going to get to take one of those out right here. It kind of looks like an eggplant or a cucumber or something like that, but it's actually a balloon filled with packing material that we're going to put down the mail chute, and that is because, based on the lore here that's going on, our name is Manny. We should start there, I guess. Our name is Manny. We work as a travel agent for the dead, for lack of a better term. So we are in the kind of the Aztec version of the afterlife. So people die and they come here to figure out, their path forward in the afterlife. And what Manny does is he's a travel agent. So people who are good in life, they can get the first class package, which is a silver bullet train to the the afterlife, basically. People who are not so good in life will get much worse packages. And what Manny is dealing with is that every client that he's getting is only getting the worst possible package, which is basically walk on foot to the gates of the afterlife, which is like a 4-year journey. And Manny is starting to get pretty suspicious of this because he's tired of getting all of these clients that are not, helping him out in terms of, getting those Class A packages. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to steal the mail of one of his coworkers to figure out why they're getting all the packages, all the, good Class A kind of clients. So that is why we needed to sabotage the mail chute so we can gain access.
Yeah, because Manny's trying to move on in life, and he can't until he works off his debt.
Exactly.
You got a quick time for some donations?
Yeah, feel free.
All right. We got a couple here. We got a $25 donation from Zombie Bait with no message, but they did put it towards the Rasaka boss softlock in Tail Corserto any percent. It's too early for this. So thank you for that. And then we got a $22 donation from Young Tonguefish, who says, I remember seeing Conception at last year's ESA by sheer coincidence, and I don't regret it. He's such a great and wholesome person. It's also kinda got me into speedrunning myself. It's a shame that the run is faster without the voice lines, as they are so good. Go Conception. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you so much, Young. Is one of my friends and community members, so thank you so much for coming by and supporting. Means a great deal to me. So this is our coworker's office, by the way. The coworker's name is Domino. And we stole a trophy out of his desk, and we're kind of grossly going to steal his mouth guard because we're going to need that for later. Little unsanitary, but not so unsanitary if you realize that you're a skeleton, you probably don't have saliva, so it's probably fine. But we need this trophy to make a grappling hook of sorts with this rope that we put on the ground earlier. You can skip the animation of it being added to the rope as well. All about optimizing these little slips where we can get them. And there goes Manny. He's climbing up to the roof even further than we were before. And we should mention, so obviously it was a little strange. Our boss caught us, kind of meandering a little bit. And he kind of threw us in a locked office, which seems unlawful, to say the least. You can't really just, capture your employee and lock him away because they did something you didn't like. So we were able to break out of that because there is an underground resistance group in this office that realizes that there's something funky going on. And they want to get to the bottom of it. So they were the ones that helped us break out. And now this underground resistance needs a way to communicate. And they decide that, you know, technology, you know, especially in the 90s, was newfangled and untrustworthy. So they're going to go old-fashioned, and they're going to get pigeons. But they can't just use pigeons, you know, that are already fully grown. They got to get them from the, you know, from their young. So we're going to steal some pigeon eggs to help out this resistance group here. It all makes sense.
Yeah, and this is one of the many tasks Manny has to perform before he can escape this city and follow Meche, who we met just a moment ago.
Yeah, we should probably bring up Meche as well. So Meche was the woman that we saw in our office briefly, and Meche is a Class A person, wonderful in life, charitable, you know, very nice, very kind to people. And when Manny looked up her records and all of that, she still got the worst package. And that's odd. That's odd. Meche deserves the Class A package more than anybody. So he is very, very suspicious as to why this is happening. So we're using that mouth guard now that it's got some Philodent in there. And that is because these computers are so secure that you need some kind of DNA access to be able to get into them. So we needed to make a teeth imprint so that the underground resistance group can utilize the office's computers while they still can. Oops. All right. Oops. Oh, did that too early. There we go. Gotta be patient sometimes. Sometimes to go fast, you have to go slow.
Yep, and we can actually see there the secretary from earlier is actually a member of the resistance group.
Mm-hmm. Who would have thought? It goes deep.
You must go.
We got a brief voice line there for a second. All right, so now we have made our way outside the city, thankfully, but we are in this petrified forest. Glottis, who is that demon that we met earlier, has driven us this far, but in a sense of dramaticism, ripped his own heart out because they didn't know where to go. So we have to get Glottis's heart back up and running. But we are also going to need some of these bones, so I'm going to pocket 3 of these for later. Pick up a 4th one. And then we're going to make an impromptu slingshot here. So we're going to throw the bone right on the web. We're going to take out our collapsible scythe from earlier. And we're going to slingshot it so that the heart flies off the spider web there. All right. And then all the way back. And we're going to put Glottis's heart back in his body because that's how it works. When you're a speed demon, I guess that's how it works. Come on. And we can actually skip that so we don't have to see it go in. So now Glottis is back up and running. We got the rocket car running, but unfortunately our way is blocked by some petrified trees and other obstacles. So we're going to have to solve a couple more puzzles before we get out of here. The car hitting that sign is very important, but not for now. We'll come back to it. First, we're going to do this petrified tree puzzle. Now each year has kind of one, just coincidentally in my opinion, has one point that is very like RNG specific, and this is the point in the first year, which is that we have to get this puzzle solved, and we just want to be able to get it on a nice fast cycle. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to roll that wheelbarrow over the wires so that the gears on each side of the tree are even, which creates the most uneven balance we can get, and will collapse the tree out of our way. The reason why it's RNG is you want to be able to get it on a really fast cycle, but you can get stuck on a slow cycle, which is a little bit unfortunate. So hopefully we get a nice fast cycle.
Yeah, and I always found this puzzle personally to be very challenging when I playing this game the first time.
Got a slow cycle, unfortunately. Oops. Nope, not quite. Not quite. Almost there. Come on. Come on. Oh my goodness, it's giving me a lot of trouble. There we go. That was pretty much as worse as it could go in terms of cycle. But that's fine. We get by it. That's all we can do. We're going to roll the car over here so we're as close to the sign as possible. And as you notice, we backed into this sign, and it's loose now, so we can just yank it out of the ground. And that is key to solving our next puzzle. And I say solving loosely because we don't really have to solve it. What this puzzle intends for you to do is it intends for you to walk around this big area and figure out exactly where the sign is meant to go to unlock a secret area. However, the area is the same every time. So as long as we plant the sign exactly where it's supposed to go at the end, it doesn't matter. We can just place it there and skip the puzzle entirely. There we go. That is a hidden, you can tell a little bit from the back, that is a key right there that we're actually going to yank off the sign. And then we're going to get to see a nice instance of item gliding here after we mash through some text.
Yep, we're picking up this key because it's going to allow us to open up a gate towards the end to get the car through.
Yep, absolutely. But there's going to be one more obstacle blocking us before we can get the car through, unfortunately.
And that's an obstacle?
Yeah, that obstacle, I think it's relatable. I think everyone's had to deal with this at some point or another. Flaming beavers.
I just had to get rid of a couple the other day.
Yeah. They're rampant in the Northeast and the Midwest. So these flaming beavers, the reason why they're just hanging around there specifically is because they feed on bones. Now, if you recall, I picked up a few extra bones from the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to chuck a bone into the tar pit there to get them closer. We got a really bad cycle on this beaver that made it really slow. But as soon as they're about to jump in, we're going to then use the fire extinguisher on them, and that takes care of the beavers. We have to do this 3 times, though, which is exactly why we grabbed 3 bones. You would think the second or the third beaver might learn from the mistakes, but they don't. Come on, beavers. We're trying to go fast here. All right, last one. All right. Yeah, it bears mentioning. So this is a remaster of a PC game from the 90s. This was released in 2015, as I mentioned. But it is a relatively unstable game. It crashes somewhat often. There's a lot of visual glitches. So there's always a chance that the game will crash, for some reason. That's why I have a lot of safety saves in case of that happening. But you'll see a lot of visual glitches like that, for example. Oops. There we go. There we go. So now we're in this area that's called Rubikava. And right now that's kind of like a sleepy podunk, stop on the road kind of place. And this is a diner of sorts. And this is actually somebody named Celso. Now, if you remember, we got a body out of a body bag earlier. And that body was actually Celso. And Celso is on his own personal journey, and he is attempting to find his wife. Now, we agreed to try and help Celso find his wife, see if we can find any clues. So he gave us a picture of his wife to show to somebody, should they, know where she is. And it just so happens there's one other person that we can show this to, which is the captain of a boat from Rubikava here. And we're going to see what he has to say about Celso's wife. Oops. Oh, whoops. That's why. I was like, why isn't it doing it? I got to take the picture out. That's why. There we go. There we go. And what the captain presents to us there is a ledger that shows that Celso's wife actually is already left here. She escaped out on a ship, and we're going to show that to Celso. The reason why this is important is that Celso is going to abandon his post here in search for his wife, and that's going to give Manny a place to stay over so that Meche can show up here eventually. And hopefully Manny and Meche can reunite so that Manny can get her the package she deserves. However, that's going to take a while. This is actually the end of year 1 for Manny. and we are now in year 2. We mentioned before that this whole journey for people who are on like the low, the worst package possible takes about 4 years. And unfortunately, Manny indirectly goes on the same journey, and it's going to be a 4-year journey for Manny as well. And that is how we split up the speed run, is into basically the 4 years. So we have just finished year 1 rather. Now we have started year 2, and you can see Rubicaba looks just a little bit different.
Manny's had his work cut out for him for a year.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a part of the game where things start to allow you to kind of do them at a kind of an out of order sequence in a way. Like some of these tasks that Conception's going to have to complete here to progress in the game can actually be done. Some have to be done in specific order. Some can be kind of done out of order to like basically get through this segment. But there's a lot of like areas to explore and visit in this part of the game.
Yeah, year 2 is by far the biggest area, and it's also the longest chapter for that reason. So as Woadyb was saying, it really opens up the possibility for different routes. So obviously we're going to be taking the fastest route we possibly can in order to solve puzzles quickly and get all of the everything that we need to solve those puzzles quickly. Year 2 functions around this simple idea. Meche has passed through without us knowing, and we need to get on a boat to find her. Now, there is one boat, and unfortunately, it has a lot of requirements before we're going to be able to get on it. One is that Glottis can go on it for free as long as he works, but Glottis cannot work on the boat without tools, so we're going to need to get some tools. The second thing is that we cannot be on a boat unless we're part of the Maritime Union. So we're going to need to be able to join the Union somehow. And the third thing is that there's one spot open for Glottis, but there is not a spot open for Manny. So as we need to make sure that one person who is meant to be on the boat doesn't show up, so that there's a spot for Manny to take. So that's going to be what we're accomplishing across year 2 here. What we're working on right away here is our ability to get a Maritime Union card, which Charlie here, who is kind of a seedy underground kind of person who makes fake betting slips and stuff for these casinos, says, I can get you one. Here, take this VIP card for the casino. I have a suitcase buried somewhere in there that I want you to retrieve, and in exchange, I will give you your Maritime Union card. So we're going to do just that. First, we're going to grab this, and the reason why we're grabbing that bottle is that we're going to need that later specifically for a metal detector puzzle, because it's what is equivalent of like a Goldschlager. So it's an alcoholic bottle that has like gold flakes in it. So when we drink it, theoretically, we will not be able to pass through a metal detector without being detected, which will be important for just a moment here. The second thing is we gave that that VIP card to the casino. We gave that to Glottis, and that sets in motion a chain of events, because unfortunately for Glottis is a bit of a lush. He likes to drink, and because we got that VIP card for a big casino, he's gonna run off with that to get his free drinks if he can.
And he's got a bit of a gambling problem.
He's got a bit of a gambling problem. He's got a bit of a drinking problem. He has his vices, but he's still, a good demon. But we'll deal with that in a second. First, we're going to get another piece of equipment that's very important to us a little early, which is the metal detector. And that we're going to get from our security guard friend, who has a little bit of a crush on us, as it turns out. So what we're doing here is we're drinking that, Goldschlager, for lack of a better term, because we actually want to get detected by this standing metal detector on purpose. Because this security guard here has a crush on us, she wants to be able to kind of search us a little bit more closely, because she wants to get close to us. And that metal detector she has in her hand is what we're going to need. So we're going to get close to her so we can get that metal detector. Unfortunately, so what's funny about this is if you play this game casually, you can follow her, just like a normal line of dialogue that lets her, makes her go through this sob story, and she ends up crying, the poor thing, because her life's been a little bit hard and stuff like that. But you eventually have to disappoint her by saying you're only here for the metal detector, and then she gets mad at you and throws it down through a window. And that window will be very important because you're going to see exactly where it lands. So we saw a little bit in the cafe earlier where we first were. That's Manny's place. He owns that place. It's a nice little casino cafe thing. Now this is like a bigger high roller kind of casino with a racetrack. And you might think racetracks stereotypically have racing horses, racing dogs, but this one in the afterlife here.
Cats.
Has giant cats, yes. So as you can see, this is a giant litter box. And of course, where did our metal detector fall? The giant litter box. So we're gonna very carefully fish that out with our scythe and grab that because we're gonna need that for later, most certainly.
Guess the cat's out of the bag.
Hey.
Oh my god.
And now, yeah. And now we can go. Now we can go into the high roller VIP section of the casino. We see GLaDOS all the way up there at the top. He's enjoying himself. And this is Nick Virago. He's a kind of like a mobster lawyer type. He's like a lawyer for like the big bad mobsters. The reason this is an unskippable cutscene, and it's an unscrollable cutscene as well. So I cannot scroll through the text faster, and I cannot skip this cutscene. Mainly because of that reason. There's like a little key in a cigarette case, and I think the game intends for us to watch this cutscene in full so we could see that happens. But this is a prime example as to why we turn off voice lines for the speedrun. This section alone, it would be 30 seconds or so slower if we had the voice lines activated. Because instead of, letting the voice lines of Nick and Manny play out here, we just have to go through the text. So we just have to let the text just do its thing and scroll pretty fast.
Are you okay if I take a minute to talk about some bid wars?
Yeah, this is a great time for it, actually, yeah.
Excellent. In that case, I would like to tell you that in a couple runs time from now, we have a Crash Mind Over Mutant Any % run. And for that run, you get to choose what color Crash Bandicoot hair and shorts will be. I guess that's all he has, really. Currently, Greenie, that's the official name, I looked it up, is in the lead with $35. But there are a few other options. We've got Bluey, Classic, and Ready. And they're at anywhere between $5 and $10. So if you would like to change the color of Crash Bandicoot for the next run, couple runs time, you get your donations in. Maybe $25 for Ready, could change it. We could get some donations in for that. And also, I looked up that one we saw earlier, the Roseka Boss Softlock for Tail Concerto Any %. And it turns out that there is a showcase. You can showcase a crash that happens during the first boss of the game if you kill it too fast. And that's an incentive, the thing we can show off. We're currently at $107 for that. We need a total of $400. And that run is later on today. So get your donations in. Have a look through the incentives. You might find one you like. Don't have to do those two. There's plenty of them. And yeah, thanks for donating to Alzheimer Fondant.
So if you were watching the run a little bit while Josh was talking there, you might have been a little confused as we just trapped a guy in a closet. That is very important. So as we alluded to, GLaDOS is up there. He's really enjoying himself, right? And he's drinking. And what we need to do is we need to get down here to where the empty barrels are, because this is actually where Charlie's suitcase is hidden in a very specific spot. The way we get down here without just, being sneaky or whatever is that we let GLaDOS drink out of a barrel, empty it, and then hide in an empty barrel as it's moved down here. You don't get to see that all because it's in the cutscene, but that's exactly what happens. Now, this part is how we access the secret area. The room where Charlie's suitcase is about halfway up this elevator ride, and what we're going to use we're going to use the forklift for is to jam it shut. Now, this is very particular, and because the game is a little bit buggy, this has a high chance of just not working for no reason. But what we're going to hope for is that we can just slide here as it happens. We got it first try. Excellent. We jam the forklift there. We come around and we lift the forklift up so that we're able to get into that hole in the wall. And then Charlie's suitcase is going to be right through here. There it is.
And this puzzle is pretty notorious just in general, even casually, just kind of getting through it. And the timing and Conception was telling me that there are actually computers that have trouble playing that segment because of the frame rate.
Yeah. I actually was lucky enough to be able to run this for one of Games Done Quick's hotfix shows, and I actually got messaged after that by one of the developers that worked on this game. And we were talking for quite a while about, you know, different things, and they told me when the game was originally released that higher end PCs actually could not solve that puzzle because the frames would go by so fast that there was no possible frame to hit for it to be able to be opened. So they had to patch that in later. And I told them that was very interesting because I still have that problem regardless, that just sometimes it doesn't work. And it doesn't really have, you know, a reason as to why it works or doesn't work sometimes. But yeah, that's just a fun little fact there. All right, so we're gonna say hi to our security guard friend here again, and you might have noticed we grabbed our friend Nick Virago's cigarette case, but we couldn't get the key out. So for whatever reason, the security guard up here it's not a bomb shelter because it doesn't protect bombs from exploding. When you put stuff in there, it explodes. So I don't really know what it is, but we put the cigarette case in there, it explodes, and we get the key out that we're gonna need. I don't know what purpose it would serve other than this, but here you go. You know, it's there. It's important. Come on. There we go. Another item glide there. We're going to need that key in just a little bit. But also, while we were locking away our friend there, we grabbed a turkey baster, which is going to be very important for now, because we're going to grab something here, back in the Blue Casket Club here.
Yeah, of course, we got to grab, you know, stuff to baste our turkeys with.
Well, we're going to base something. I'll say that. So basically what that water is, it's dirty hookah water. And that's going to be important for later. We'll just kind of save that. We're going to pocket that. I think I took out the wrong item. Yeah, you did. Yeah, there we go. So now we're going to use that key, and that key unlocks this lighthouse, and we're not going to be able to see it because we're going to skip the cutscene. But what happens here is that one of our friends is basically killed at the top of this lighthouse and gives us a piece of incriminating evidence that's going to be very useful, which is a very important coat check slip, and we're going to find out just why that's important here in one moment. So these are worker bees, by the way. And the reason why they're important to the story is, as we mentioned, Glottis needs tools. He needs tools to be able to work on the boat. Worker bees have tools, and what we're trying to do is we're going to convince the worker bees to go on strike because of unfair practices. However, they go on strike and they're actually arrested by the corrupt police, so that they're not able to give us their tools when they're in jail. So it creates another little problem for us that we're going to have to solve. We're going to give our friend the coat check tag, who's going to give us a coat that has a very important note in it. And that note is kind of a tattoo card. If you've ever been to a tattoo parlor, they have books full of tattoo designs that are on cards. And there is a particular card in this one that we're going to take and have identified by the tattoo artist in Rubalcaba.
Yes, a very particular tattoo is needed.
Yes, and again, you might be wondering, cool, tattoos, right? We don't have skin, we're skeletons. And yeah, you'd be right. I don't really have an explanation for you. But we are gonna see some skeletons get tattooed. I can tell you that. All right, take the elevator down. We're gonna head right over to the tattoo parlor. One other piece of speed tech that I actually haven't mentioned is that, so primarily what we're doing to move around is we're clicking on transition points, like I'm doing now. But there is a piece of speed tech. Now, a lot of transitions have this weird thing that Manny is unable to move or do anything like the first couple seconds that he makes a transition. However, if you click on a transition point with your mouse and then use tank controls, what we call them, which is using the keyboard to move, if you move through the transition point after you've clicked on it, you can actually skip that animation, which saves us a lot of time throughout the run. Welcome to the tattoo parlor. We're going to do a little bit of sabotaging here. We're going to open this fridge, open this drawer in the fridge, and we're going to take out a turkey baster from before that's filled with dirty hookah water, and we're going to slide it in this person's drink. Now, that seems cruel. That seems mean. And you're right, it's a little mean. But if you remember, one of the things that we have to do is that we have to free up a spot on the boat so that we can go on it as well. And this is Naranja, who is a sailor on that boat. So we're going to poison him so that he does not show up for work. He's not going to die. He's a skeleton, right? So it's okay. You know, it's fine. But he's going to pass out. Tattoo artist here is going to think he's drunk. The problem with that is, tattoo artist is going to call the ship captain and says, hey, I got your boy Naranja here. He's drunk as a skunk. I'll make sure he still shows up for work tomorrow. Doesn't exactly solve our problem. So we're gonna take a little piece of evidence off of him, which is his dog tags. That's going to come in very handy. And this is the only time in the run, if I do everything right, that I actually have to go into my inventory manually. And that is because this is the only chapter, the only year in the whole run that we have so many items that I don't have enough number keys for them. So it goes beyond 10. And that we have to go and get that note to turn into the tattoo artist here. So you won't see that inventory screen ever again in the run unless I really mess something up with my inventory management. Another glitch there, my head just disappears. No explanation for that.
I'm sorry, I've never seen that before.
Yep, he disappears for a bit, and I don't have a reason why. It just does. One other puzzle that occurs in this game is that we need to use this betting slip printing machine in order to solve a particular puzzle. Now, luckily, the solution is the same every time. What you're meant to do is kind of play through this whole chapter, find out a lot of lore information as to why, what specific date that you need to type in order to get the betting slip that you need to progress the story. Luckily, like I said, it's the same every time, so we just punch in the numbers, save, skipping. You know, we get to skip all of having to find out that lore and get the slip we need. Now, this slip, you might think, oh, it must have some kind of money or something in it. It doesn't have money, but still some valuable information for us, which is a picture of Nick smooching with his boss's wife, which, as you can imagine, the criminal underworld probably doesn't fly. So we're going to show Nick that, who is not going to be happy, and he is going to agree to help us out with freeing the worker bees. He's a lawyer. He's going to get the worker bees off. They're going to get out of jail.
Nick was smooching with everyone, even including Cliff.
That's right. Shoutouts to Home Alone 2. Very great.
I wasn't sure if you'd get the reference.
Very great film. Very great film. So now Nick is going to free the worker bees from prison, which gives, and they're so thankful they give us their tools. That's checked off. We already have our Maritime Union card. That part's checked off. We got the Maritime Union card from Charlie after we gave him the suitcase. So that's done. Last thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our spot on the boat is freed up. Also, we get to punch Nick in the face, which is very satisfying. So we need to do something a little bit unfortunate, which is to make the captain believe that Naranja is not drunk, but Naranja is dead. So we're going to do that now. Right near here is a mortician. And you might be thinking, okay, we're already in the land of the dead. We're skeletons. How is there a mortician, right? And skeletons can die. But how they die is by something called sprouted. Being sprouted, I should say. And if their bones are combined with a specific fertilizer, they turn into shrubs and bushes that look kind of like this. And make it so that they are no longer animate. So that is their version of being dead. What we're going to do is we're going to take the dog tags that we grabbed from Naranja earlier while he's passed out, throw them on this dead body. Obviously, so the idea is that the mortician doesn't see you throw it on there, but we catch the tail end of a cycle as we're throwing them on there, so it looks like the mortician definitely sees, but the game says no, technically you didn't see it, so it's fine. Now the mortician thinks that this is Naranja's body, gonna contact the captain, say Naranja's dead, which is a very morbid way for us to clear up a spot on the boat so that we can go.
But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
You gotta do. At least he didn't actually kill him, right? Like let's
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Manny's not a murderer. He might be a lot of things. He might be a little morally bankrupt, but he's not a murderer. So
He just
the
wants
other
to
head
find Mitch.
disappearing glitch there. Yep. Just wants to do right by people, you know. There is one last condition that is unlisted there that we actually have to complete, which is that there's actually a cheater in our little casino, and we can't leave our casino under control of cheaters. So we have to stop this cheater, which is what is going to end the chapter. And how we stop the cheater is that we go upstairs to our office again. No, not that way. And we have this little roulette board. And you can see that there's this little magnet button. Now, if we were lucky, we could have got a really good cycle that we could have just flipped the button. The magnet would have been on, and then we could have just flipped the button off, and it would have been fine. Unfortunately, we got bad cycles in a row, so that stinks. You can get this done right away, or you have to let the puzzle run a couple times in order for you to be able to successfully stop the cheater from cheating. There we go. So that is the end of year 2. Unfortunately, we got really bad luck, and that was very slow. But you know, we finished it, so you know that's good. We are now in year 3.
Yep, in year 3 you didn't see it in the cutscene, but we took the job as the custodian on this boat, and within the span of a year, we became the captain.
Yes, but unfortunately for us, oops, I forgot I gotta exit that. Unfortunately for us, we have been captured by an enemy of ours, which actually turns out to be our coworker Domino from the beginning of the game. He's not so nice as it turns out, and he has locked us in an area of our own ship. Not very smartly, because he locked us in an area of the ship where we have complete control over the ship. It's a little unusual placement, but you got to do what you got to do, I guess. But we're going to do a very unorthodox escape plan here, which is we're going to carve the ship in half with the motor side, you know, on our side. So you're going to see here, we basically linked the 2 anchors that we had on the ship and then pulled it on one side so that it rips through the ship. So now we have half a ship, and we're going to take the motor half, and we're going to boogie. There we go. Come on. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, half a ship is not going to get you very far. So we are at the bottom of the ocean, but never fear, because we're dead. So we can breathe underwater. It's fine.
We could also find Guybrush Threepwood. He can hold his breath for like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. What we are afraid of are those hideous monsters in the ocean that wait for you to get out of the light and attack you. Luckily, we just met a new friend who has a lantern for a head. So we're just going to grab that, make Glottis hold it, and then now we're safe from monsters as we progress through the ocean. Now that is actually, so that guy, if you don't talk to him fast enough, or you just kind of let him walk around, he will walk all the way around the map. Oh, geez. Come on. Don't let me get stuck there. There. He can walk all the way around the map. So if you miss talking to him and you cannot access him from the back, you have to wait like a 30 to 45 second loop for him to come back around. Luckily, it's not very hard to like hit the loop on the first try or anything like that. But if you're playing the game casually and he just starts passing by, even casually, you're like, oh, geez, come on. You know? I have to wait this long. Now, the good part about it is if you have voice lines turned on, he starts singing that song. It's like, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. So that's entertaining, at least, but...
And now that song's stuck in my head.
Yeah, exactly. So now we are at the underwater / edge of the world work camp that is owned and operated by Domino. And Domino actually has the intention of making Manny here run this. And the way he's going to do that and enticing us into staying here against our will is by putting somebody here that we care about. And I'm sure you can kind of guess who that is. It's going to be Meche.
Could it be?
Yeah, it's going to be Meche. I'm just going to spoil it for you a little bit in advance. We're going to see her in just a second. But first, we got to talk to these little angels in the cage because they have a very important tool.
Important tiny tool.
Very tiny tool. Basically, we have to, for lack of a better word, antagonize them so that they throw it at us for some reason.
Yeah,
okay
we're going to use the tool to make a trade.
Yep.
You okay for a quick
Go ahead,
donation? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay. We got a $5 donation from Jimbadan with no comment, but they did put it towards the language choice for the Final Fantasy VII Remake 80% run, and they picked English.
Hey!
So now, if I have a look at that, the bid war, currently English is at $130. French is at 0. But Japanese is at 180. So there's a little bit of a bid war starting up for that. We do have some time until the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It is at for me, the end of Friday. But that's my time zone, obviously. So we've got plenty of time for it, so get your donations in, and you can pick the language. And as long as you don't pick French, it'll be alright.
Yeah, Woadyb is very excited about that because Woadyb will also be on commentary for that run, I believe, yes?
Yep, I will be commentating that run on Friday. So yes, excitement.
Yes, everyone tune into that run. Final Fantasy VII Remake 1 runs are very, very entertaining to watch.
Yeah,
Absolutely
they
make
are.
sure you tune in.
They are intense.
Yeah, that is for sure. One thing that happened while that was going on was that we actually had to get a second object for trade from Meche here. And we actually got very good luck. It's an RNG sequence almost. Here. Where we have to turn the ashtray so that she accidentally drops ashes on her stockings because we need the stockings. That was very odd. I heard the item come out, but then it just didn't come out. Okay. And if you miss that cycle, you might have to retry to get it, 5, 6, 7 times. But luckily we got it on the first try, so we got pretty lucky there.
And now the tumbler puzzle.
Tumbler puzzle. My practice run had a really good tumbler setup. That was pretty happy to see. Come on. Nope. Nope. There we go. I probably could have kept that actually where it was. Yeah, because now I messed up at the top. Hold on.
Yeah, essentially the goal here is we're trying to line up the blocks so that there's a kind of a gap on the right side there, so we can jam the sight in place.
Yep, unfortunately it is RNG every time as to where the tumblers lie originally, so they can give you, a nice cycle or things like that, or they can be a little bit unfortunate, which is exactly what happened there, but that's quite all right. Oops. There we go. So we geniusly lock ourselves in this cellar that Meche has been captured in, but it's okay. We find a way out. And now we're meant to move a lot slower there. This is a very heavy axe, and so we're meant to be dragging it very slowly along the floor. But if you mash the transition click as well as holding the sprint button at the same time, you will move like lightning with that very heavy axe. And the reason why the heavy axe is important is so that we can break open this tile here to find a manhole. So that is why that's important. Worth mentioning as well, these suitcases, what we're seeing there, they hold a whole bunch of Class A tickets. Now you might be wondering, that's a little weird, right? Because
totally.
why do these mobsters just have everybody's Class A tickets? It's supposed to be one ticket of any kind per person. So obviously there's some kind of conspiracy going on, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
Those rapscallions.
Yeah, who knew these mobsters would be dirty? All right, so we got another puzzle here that involves this crane. And we're actually going to do a kind of funny animation skip here. So we're going to pull out our big drill, for lack of a better term, or like, I don't know what you call it. It's like a jackhammer that you use sideways, for lack of a better term. I'm not very tool savvy, but so what's meant to happen here is it's supposed to play an animation where we drill the chain connecting to this bucket here, and then you can see that they're separate. We skip that animation, so it looks like they are still attached, but you're gonna have to trust me that they're actually separated, because what we're going to do is go back up into the crane. We're gonna raise the chain, lower the chain again, raise the chain to yank those cranes out, and then we're going to move the chain to the other side of the map to solve this next part of the puzzle. The reason why it's important that we yank those cogs out of the machine is that Glottis is working on a boat to get us out of this area, but he needs some equipment. He needed some like parts and whatnot, so he's going to use those parts to help fix the ship as like a rudder of sorts, I guess.
Yeah, because they need to try and break through, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is. I want to say it's like coral equivalent, basically, and so they need the grinders to help kind of plow through it.
So we get the parts that Glottis needs to fix the ship, and we also hook the anchor of that ship with this chain so that we can yank it up and get it to the surface. Come on, Manny, get up there. Come on. All right, so now we're actually already at the end of chapter 3, year 3 rather. And nice little boss fight there that we just take out relatively quickly against Domino. And instead of attacking Domino, we attack the ship itself, which has an eye, kind of like an octopus that we saw at the beginning there.
Hey.
Oops, there we go. Hey, we got to hear Manny say hey. And now we are in year 4, and this is actually the gate to the afterlife here. But unfortunately, we don't have the ability to get in, and because we don't have tickets or anything like that. And the gate guardian there did not believe our story about everyone, you know, stealing the tickets and whatnot. So we have to figure out something else.
And at this point in time, Glottis has been away from speed for too long, and it's affecting him.
Yep, which is why he's passed out kind of sick there, and they're trying to figure out why. He's a speed demon. He needs to go fast, you know? And as it turns out, if you recall, we dealt with some packing material at the very beginning of the game. And you might have seen briefly that we saw a coffin there, and there's a mug in there that has that's full of that packing material. And as it turns out, when fire reacts to that packing material, it acts as sort of a rocket fuel, like this. So Glottis is going to be able to go fast again, no problems. And now what we do is we use a, kind of rocket train car to make our way backwards, because we need to be able to take down that criminal underground in order for us to proceed to the afterlife. So we're starting to make our way backwards a little bit, and we are in Rubikava again, of course. Now, luckily, the second time through Rubikava here, it is a little bit more centralized. There's a lot more areas that we could access before that are cut off to us now, so it kind of limits where we can go, which actually makes it faster from a speedrun perspective, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, and the goal here is we're trying to get access back to our car, but it's been booby-trapped.
By Domino's.
Oh no!
Not the pizza. Actual Domino's. So we need to get some tools to deal with that, and we're gonna deal with it in what I think is a pretty unorthodox way, but it's still pretty funny, I suppose. So we grabbed from the tattoo shop there some nitroglycerin, liquid nitrogen actually is what it is. That's gonna be important later. We're gonna go say farewell to the captain here. It was very good to us. We're gonna grab his ship in a bottle that he was working on. And we're gonna head to the old trusty blue casket, which is where we go whenever we need questionable fluids, apparently. Look, it is cleared out now, but we're gonna head in the back here. And with using that ship in the bottle, we're gonna fill it up with this casket. This casket is filled with an alcohol that I believe Manny refers to as lumbago lemonade. It is a purple drink, and if you might remember that alcohol affects one particular member of our party a little bit more than the rest. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this alcohol over to our poor friend Glottis, who's not gonna be able to resist drinking it. And we're not gonna, well, I guess we kind of do see him drink it here. I was gonna say we skip most of the dialogue and cutscene here, so I don't really get to see anything play out. But what he means to do there is like charge around and act like a, you know, a lush. Then we're gonna prod him a little bit, seeing if he's okay. He drank too much, barf. Now you might think the projectile from the barf must have set out those booby traps. They're done for. You know, based on the laws of physics, you'd be right. However, what we're gonna see here is that after, you know, Gloss finishes up in here, it's created a nice even coat here, and then we're gonna use the liquid nitrogen to freeze that bad boy over, and then voila, we now have a way to get to the booby trap car without knocking over any dominoes.
And now we're back to square one.
Yep, we're back to where we were when we started. This is the underground section that was, you know, that helped us out at the very beginning of the game. And look, our little pigeon grew up that we grabbed the egg for over the 4 years.
Yep, and the town has undergone a bit of a change since we were last here.
That is correct. This is no longer a travel agency of sorts. Like so many other places, it seems, in this game, they have gone the side of casino. I don't know why things keep getting turned into casinos, but they do. So it is more or less like a casino, but like kind of like a grand scale casino, you know, with like that has like dancing shows and concerts and stuff like that as well, which we're going to get a glimpse of here coming up. Now, Manny has been here before. He's obviously very recognizable. Everyone knows what he's done. He defeated Domino. He's trying to collapse this underground system. So he can't just walk into the boss's office willy-nilly. He's going to get stopped. So he needs a disguise to be able to get to the boss's office. So we're going to work on that now. First, we're going to grab this pot of coffee. Everyone needs coffee before they start any significant challenge, right? We just use it. We use it a little differently. We pour it on the heads of these dancers from above. Kind of mean. I'm not gonna lie, but the ends justify the means. They run off. They can no longer perform. They're actually dancers at the casino here. They can no longer perform. The game intends for you to put the coffee pot back here. However, we walk into the makeup area with the coffee pot to save a little time there. And now we have the face makeup, so that helps with our disguise. But our clothes are also somewhat recognizable. So we gotta figure out something with our clothes here. Also, that probably looked a little strange. We just took a bone hand and put it in a grinder of sorts. There's a whole long cutscene that we skipped where one of the operatives of the underground was unfortunately sprouted in the office. However, his bone hand remained, so we grabbed that bone hand. And the reason why it's important is we're going to be able to utilize that bone hand in this grinder in order to create, you know, like bone flakes, kind of like snow or whatever. And that's going to be important for a few things. Now, you can see under the car here, there's a little bit of green fluid, and that is actually fertilizer, which is kind of the ammunition that is used to sprout people. And as we mentioned before, the bones and the fertilizer react very particularly. There we go. So what the game intends for us to do here is use the bone flakes all the way around and find out where we're supposed to go. However, again, same thing. If you know where you're going, then it doesn't matter. We know where the end is, then we can just use it. Now, I'm being very slow here on purpose because this is the most volatile part of the game in terms of making it crash. If you try to go a little bit too fast with your inventory there, the game will just soft lock in the menu. There's nothing you can do about it. So we have to take things a little bit slowly there. All right, but of course, you know, every sewer has a gator that's blocking it. We're going to use the hydraulics of the car to slam down the gator's tail so it does not prevent us from going to this underground weapons dealer that is called the Florist. No, don't go back up there. Don't go back up there. Don't do that. There we go. All right. Now, the Florist is afraid right now. He does not... He thinks somebody's after him, and the solution to this puzzle is very weird. We're going to flick this thing off of his door bell there, and then we're going to exit.
And go right back in.
Yeah, and we're gonna go right back in. And for some reason, when that happens, the florist is like, "Oh, a customer. Never mind. It's fine." I don't understand why that's the solution to the puzzle exactly. It's been a while since I played the game casually, so maybe there's a more lore-based reason as to why that works. But another head disappearing glitch there. It's fine. We now have weaponry to be able to help take on our end boss guy there.
Funny enough, I remember casually, there is no reason other than, oh, it's the sound of a customer coming into my store.
Okay, so all right, so I'm not going crazy there. There is no real lore reason as to why that works the way it does. It just does. Okay, sounds good. As I mentioned, we still need to get rid of our clothes to be able to go up and approach the boss here. So we're gonna work on that now, and we're in the casino floor here. This is actually Meche here in the green dress, and this is Charlie from back in year 2. Meche is working with us. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull one over on our old friend Charlie here. Now, Charlie is meant to be going to a toga party. So we're going to throw that sheet over him. That's what he's going to use for the toga. And while he's distracted, we're toga, yeah, that's right. While he's distracted, we're going to talk to our other operative friend here who's able to sabotage these machines. And we're going to get him to help out with sabotaging Charlie's machine. That way, Charlie will go to the toga party early because he already won big.
Yeah, Charlie wants to toga the party early, whatever.
He wants to go to the party.
Yeah.
I see what you were going for.
I was trying. It's like it's late. I'm sleep deprived.
Yeah, I feel that. You tried. The effort was there. That's actually a little bit of a cycle. If you take too long on this operative guy, then Charlie will get out of his seat without having won the coin, and you have to restart the process. So it's a little bit of a cycle, but it's not too hard to hit. Now, like any normal person would, whenever you're changing to go to a toga party, you're just going to leave your old clothes in the bathroom. This public bathroom, not his house, just a public bathroom. You know, you just leave your clothes there. I think that makes sense. Everyone does that. So we're going to go in there and we're going to take Charlie's clothes, which obviously would fit us. We're the same size. And then now we're ready to approach the boss. Now this I'm going to focus on for a second. Okay, so that was bad RNG, but we got it the first time. So what happens there is that is a puzzle solution. And basically what happens there is that the bouncer will not let us in unless we're able to answer a very specific question about the mob boss there to prove that we know him. The answer to that question is always a number, and the answer is always behind us on the bingo board. And the answer, how we know what the answer is that the first time we see the bingo board, it will flash a set of numbers. The second time, one of those numbers will be removed or a new number will be added. And we need to figure out what that number is, and that will be the answer to the puzzle. Now, a couple RNG aspects there. One, the first time that puzzle flashes, there's like 8 numbers on the screen, so it's very hard to remember. But 2, you want to hope for a low number. It's preferably like 1 to 4 or 1 to 3. Because if it's a high number, like it was for me, which was 28, I have to scroll all the way down to 28, and then that was the solution. But, you know, it's still faster than doing the puzzle twice or something like that. The mob boss there traps us up on the roof, by the way, but we're going to be able to get out of that by using our wood fertilizer combo, knocking the sign down. Oh, come on. And we're just going to climb the side, slide on over, voila. So this is actually the last scene of the game. The last little scene that we're going to see. The mob boss, whose name is Hector, by the way, Hector Le Mans, has locked himself in this greenhouse. The reason why he has locked himself in this greenhouse is because, as we mentioned, fertilizer is very deadly for bones. So he's feeling pretty safe there. And he ends up actually shooting Manny, but lucky for us, we still have a little bit of liquid nitrogen left that we're going to pour on our wound before we get sprouted. So we're able to cut it off at the source. So that worked out well for us. However, we now know that we can't just go into the greenhouse willy-nilly because Hector is just going to shoot us and then we're going to get stuck in the same pattern. So we got to figure out another solution here. In the meantime, come on. There we go. In the meantime, that is Salvador, who is the head of the resistance group that helped us out all the way at the beginning of the game. He was unfortunately defeated, and all that remained was his head. But on his way out, he is able to take down Olivia, who is Hector's kind of girlfriend, for lack of a better term. So that she is taken care of. That's actually her body there. And we are able to free our scythe from that case. And what happens is that there's one ticket that flies out, and the ticket that flies out is actually Salvador's ticket, and it's attracted to his body because it's, you know, the ticket wants to go to the owner. Salvador's body also has the key to the trunk, which has some weaponry that we're going to need. So we follow the ticket. Luckily, the body's in the same spot every time, so I know exactly where to walk. But the ticket can be a little bit weird there and float off and then come back. I don't know why that happens sometimes, but it just does. We can actually skip the animation of picking it up and walking at the same time, which looks a little funny, but there it is. We now have the key to the trunk, so now we can go in there and get a gun so that we can take out our friend Hector. Our enemy Hector, I guess, is better. Now, we got this gun, and you might be thinking, all right, now we can just shoot Hector and it's going to be over. But we have a little bit of a contemporary solution to this. Instead of going to face Hector head on, we're going to go over to these tanks that lead up to the greenhouse. As you can see, there's a long pipe here, and this is like fertilizer gas to help the plants grow inside the greenhouse. Instead of shooting Hector, what we're going to do is we're going to shoot the tank so that it's going to leak fertilizer into the greenhouse while Hector is trapped in there. And then Hector will be defeated. And time is actually coming up very soon here. Last input. So get ready on time. We're going to go up here, and then I'm going to click to open the door. And time. Woo! Little visual glitch there. But we can... You'll get to see Hector explode a little bit here. There he goes. That's his goo there. And then we finally, you know, ride off into the sunset on the silver bullet train to the afterlife. But yeah, that is Grim Fandango. I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you so much to ESA for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be able to be a part of these events. I'm very thankful for them for continuing to give me a chance to showcase these fun but a little bit, you know, underutilized games from a speedrun perspective off on their stage. Speaking of, if you're interested in running Grim Fandango, we don't have an active Discord or anything like that. I'm in the midst of trying to get that built up and everything. But if you're interested in running the game, you can always check out the runs on the speedrun.com page. The world record run in particular has a lot of notes listed underneath the run about useful things to do. Or you can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/conception2. Send me a message, come by chat sometime. I'm more than welcome to be able to help you and get you started with running this game, answer any questions you might have about how to do it and things like that. Yeah. Woody, do you have any shout outs or anything you want to do for plugs or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, this game's wonderful. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't currently run it myself. I'm just a huge fan of it. But I am, looking to potentially do that in the future. So yeah, definitely reach out to Conception for information on that, and he'll get you squared away in the right place.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me, I highly suggest people play this game casually. It's just an excellent story. It's really fun. It's very affordable. You can play it on all modern consoles and on PC. It's no more than $15, and it's on sale constantly for less than $10. So if you're ever interested in playing it, you can search for it on Steam or on the console of your choice, and it'll be there for you. Just play it. It's a great game.
Yeah, very funny, worth it, especially with the speedrun, the dialogue being turned off. So you don't get to hear the beautiful voice acting. So play it casually for sure.
Yes, absolutely. But other than that, yeah, just thank you, ESA. Thank you to the crew and everyone behind the scenes as well for putting on such a great event.
Awesome. Thank you for the run. And coming up next, we have Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time by Damusk. I'm not saying that name right, but we're going to go with it. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.